regardless of these thunderstorms, you just want to be prepared, as damaging winds are definitely a possibility, and the threat for some quick spin-up tornadoes. But wow, we've been talking about this. Look at all the warnings. I mean, area-wide, pretty much, again, from north to south, covering the entire central part of the state right now, and really the entire along the I-75 corridor, now marching eastward. And the Weather Service continues to issue new warnings out ahead of this. So, and another one just popped up right now. So let's go ahead and talk about that really quickly. If you're out in Montgomery County, Bath County, Fleming County, even into Rowan County, this goes until 2:15. A little further south, Estill down to Lee, Wolf, into Morgan County, Powell County, Menifee County, this Montgomery County as well. This goes until 2:15 for you as this line of storms just continues to march eastward. And again, Justin was talking about as well, he was talking about as well a strong part of the storm right now over Madison County as we speak, and we've been talking about just the potential for power outages, damaging winds. It's all pretty much a possibility. The chance for some quick spin-up tornadoes. Also, again, across the south, we've been talking about the ground is very saturated. With any of these heavy downpours like this, you can always get some localized flooding as well. So just an intense line of storms right now, pretty much right along I-75, working across the state as we speak. I mean, this is pretty significant, Justin. This is the first time I've seen this many warnings, I think, statewide in quite some time. I mean, it's pretty intense, Justin.
Definitely intense all along this. I was looking at the storms down to the south, really this whole line, because of the intensity of the rain, obviously lightning and straight line winds, and they put what is called a considerable tag, meaning considerable damage possible, with that new warning that includes Fleming County, Bath, Montgomery, and over into Rowan County, meaning that winds 70+ miles per hour are possible along this entire leading edge of the line. Okay, so that's going to be impacting a whole lot of people. Let me go back into our camera though, because this is our Lexington camera. You can see things are calmer. Still, yes, it is raining, but this is our Paris camera, and there is that leading wall of wind coming in, and obviously some heavier rain reducing visibility, and this is likely just the start of it. Visibility is likely about to go down even more. This is our camera a little further down to the south. We're showing you all of our cameras, kind of going through them for you. This is our camera in Somerset. Check that out. Camera shaking, visibility reduced, obviously gusty winds, and so this is why we're telling you that if you were outside, you were at a cookout, or if you were at an area lake, the last place you wanted to obviously be is outside, especially on some of the lakes out there with all of this lightning and the very intense winds. Just look at that. We'll leave this up here for a second. We're looking at the direction more to the west-southwest as this line of storms is coming into Somerset as we speak. This entire line impacting our viewing area. I'm going to go backwards through our cameras again. Paris, same story. Gusty winds there right now. Not seeing to the level that I'm definitely seeing any damage yet, which is good news. We don't want any damage, but there is the capability of some of that right along this entire line. Let me storm track once again, because I want to show you and give you a little estimated time of how quickly this storm, how much time you have before that storm gets into your neck of the woods. I want to do our future radar. This takes this line of storms out over the next hour. And let me go back here. It's into the More tab. And this is going to advance this line of storms. And look how detailed this future radar is. This is where it goes in an hour. So wait, it'll loop over. 1 hour from now, if not sooner, the squall line is going to be heading over toward Moorhead. So if you're on Cave Run Lake right now, heads up. If you know anybody there, Cave Run Lake, you're over then either camping or you're in that vicinity. All right, now's your time. Pack things up. You still have got about an hour before those strong winds start gusting into Rowan County. Right along, hey, if you know anybody that's down here in Powell County right now, Red River Gorge, maybe doing a little camping down there. Bring it indoors, all right? You don't need to be out and about when these storms are coming in right along the Mountain Parkway going into Campton. So Campton, you got about an hour before it gets there. Same story in Beattyville. Boonville, same story. Let me stop this and show you where the storms, again, are at currently. Go back into live mode of the radar. I want to slice through this, too, one more time, 3D, because this kind of gives us just a little visualization of how high some of these storms could be developing three-dimensionally, or how tall some of the tops are. So we'll do a little slice through this entire part of the line here that's coming through central Kentucky. Watch this. I can show you that the intense part of this, it's going up through Bourbon County. You see right along that entire line. Let me move the radar. You see that little bit of purple there that's just off to the west and coming into Paris right now. We could be looking at some small hail. And I'll reset again and clear off the 3D radar. And this just shows us where we're actually, I can show you our product. This is going to do, the Barron button looks inside the storm and sees the strongest threats, all right, severe threats that are a possibility along this. And the strongest or most intense that it's saying, yes, there is the potential for some hail right there in Bourbon County that I was mentioning, right even over into parts of Clark County, indicating that maybe 1-inch hail. So the size of quarters possible there. Same story as we get down to parts of Clark County, 1-inch hail. You get into parts of Richmond, we could see hail up to the size of quarters. Not saying that for sure we've got that all along the line, but definitely gusty winds all along this. I'm seeing still some more kind of kink showing up. We'll look more at the velocity. I mean, the strongest part of this still is right in Richmond right now. All right, most intense in terms of straight line winds here. I'm going to check too if we have any damage report. Look at that, 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, gusts possible with this leading edge of the storms coming right into Richmond. So that portion of the storm will be going and impacting Estill County and over into Powell County too. This has been the part that went all the way back into Garrett County and has been producing some straight line, potentially damaging straight line winds all across the state. Peyton, do you have the power outages by chance pulled up out there? I know we have that.
Yes,
tabs here.
Let me step out real quick and grab them really quick. They're kind of being slow to update. Obviously, right now it's still just showing the main power outages across our westernmost counties. We're up to 896 without power in Franklin County, and that's customers. 496 customers in Woodford, 734 in Mercer, 1,815 customers out in Anderson right now. And just a little further to the south, I mean, this is the Somerset camera here. Not very far from there is Clinton County, where they have 1,641 customers without power. And look how low the visibility is here. It is just increasingly low as very heavy rainfall is coming down, and you can see the camera shaking here. I actually just got a text from someone down around Lake Cumberland, and they said when this line of storms came through, the visibility pretty much instantly with the heavy rainfall and the windy conditions just dropped to where you couldn't even see the lake right in front of you. So obviously you want to be very cautious. We've been pointing that out as this line of storms continues to work across the area. And thankfully we have our home view cameras here that help us really show the picture of what we're seeing across the region. And again, this one down in Somerset. Let's reset here, show you exactly what we're seeing across the viewing area. Again, pretty much from northern Kentucky all the way to the Tennessee line, this line of storms is warned. So a dangerous situation. We're getting reports of trees down, power lines down, especially in our westernmost counties. That's where this line has already passed through. Got a report of a tree down, just texted to me, actually in Lancaster. Also getting reports from the weather chat here that there are power lines down in Russell County, if you're in Russell Springs. So again, as this line works through, a lot of our western counties, people are able to see exactly what's taking place. Let's go ahead and just go area by area, show you what's happening. It's pouring right now. Cynthiana down towards Paris, likely seeing some hail in some of these areas, especially the areas where you see the purple, likely seeing some hail. This is working towards Carlisle, back in towards Fleming County over the next 30 minutes or so, down towards Owingsville and Bath County. Winchester, this is pretty much right over the heart of Clark County as we speak, right along I-64. If you're along I-64 in eastern Kentucky, if you live along that area, or if you plan on traveling in the next little bit, I would just hold off for a while because this line is going to continue crossing the state. Mount Sterling, Owensville, again, back towards Moorhead into Rowan County. We're getting out towards Moorhead. I know Justin was talking about Cave Run Lake. If you're out on Cave Run, you have about an hour or so to go ahead and move indoors, get off the lake, get to a safe spot as this line of dangerous storms is working towards you as we speak. Some of the more dangerous parts of the storm, I think, that also Justin was pointing out, is this line from Clark and down into Madison County here. You can see it is just a nasty storm now that just crossed through Richmond, now working into eastern portions of Madison County. Irvin, if you're in Estill County, Stanton as well, right along the Mountain Parkway here. Again, folks, you just want to ride this one out, take a break, and just go indoors into your safe spot as we're dealing with potentially 60, upwards of 70-mile-per-hour winds, along with the hail threat as well. Beattyville, Campton, this is working your way in about an hour. If you're in Morgan County, I actually have a lot of family out in the Morgan County area. West Liberty, take this storm seriously. Move inside. You have about an hour or so until it gets to you. So the Weather Service is doing a great job. Justin always talks about we are partners with our friends at the National Weather Service. They're doing a great job getting these warnings out ahead of this line of storms. That way you have time to get prepared. You have time to get into a building, into a safe spot, especially with it being the holiday weekend, a lot of cookouts, people camping, things like that. I know one thing I know a lot about this weekend as well, a lot of people having graduation parties, things like that, and a lot of those are outdoors. The Weather Service is doing a great job getting the warning out so you can get into your safe spot and get indoors before this line gets to you, giving plenty of warning because, again, pretty much for the entirety of the state from north to south, this is a dangerous line of storms here. Mount Vernon, this is right over you, now working into eastern portions of Pulaski County. If you're in London, back towards McKee there, down towards Corbin, Williamsburg as well. This is all working in your direction, damaging winds, hail, localized flooding, all a threat. We've had reports of power lines down, trees down. So again, move inside. A lot of lightning with this as well. It's really just a nasty situation out there. And speaking of those storm threats, I was talking about this just a little bit earlier. Our main threat with this line of storms here is the threat for those damaging winds. But anytime we have a situation like we do today with a line of thunderstorms like we do, you can get quick spin up tornadoes right along the front line here of those storms. That's definitely a possibility. We've been talking about the chance for some hail. Most of the hail that if we're seeing any is likely on the smaller side, but yet that's a possibility. And then again, of course, that localized flooding threat, because these are torrential downpours taking place across the area. So again, moral of the story, we've been saying it. If you are in a warning, get inside. This is marching across now into our eastern Kentucky counties. Get indoors, get into a safe spot. Especially our far eastern Kentucky counties in our viewing area, have some time to do that. And Justin, we've just been pointing out, it's very important, just again, to take shelter and take the warning, heed the warnings, because we are seeing damage. We are seeing power outages with this line of storms.
That we are. Was just getting an update here on some of the power outages. Bluegrass Energy reporting that 8,500 outages, and kind of a breakdown along the counties here. 1.8 thousand customers in Anderson County out, Madison County 1.6 thousand, Harrison County 1.3. Again, these are of Bluegrass Energy customers only. Franklin County just shy of 1,000 customers. Mercer County just shy of 800 customers out. Bourbon County about almost 750 customers of Bluegrass Energy are out.
Yeah, and Justin, just total, I'm looking at these power outages here. Now in Fayette County, we're 1,561 customers without power, and that's total no matter what your provider is.
Okay.
In Woodford County, we're over 2,000 customers now without power. Up in Scott County, we're over 1,500 customers without power. Right now in Bourbon, only 77, Harrison 145. But again, this is continuously updating. Kentucky is actually one of the states leading power outages right now in the nation, actually. And as you know, we had a very dangerous severe weather situation out to our west last night. So that's pretty significant considering that many people is without power across the state.
Yeah, and this whole line, I'm trying to do a storm track here. It gets hard when you're going that far out, but I've taken off some of the small communities and kind of just put on the county seats so we can take it out further to give you an estimated time of arrival here. Carlisle, 133. Guess what? It's on your doorstep now. It's 132. Mount Sterling, 139. Camargo, 140. Ewing at 143. Owensville at 148. Flemingsburg at 150. Lakeview Heights at 202. That's just on the northern portion, northern flank of this line, all right? Now we're going to go a little bit further down to the south because I tracked that northern part. Still the strongest part, and Peyton and I were looking at this a minute ago, is this portion of the storm that is gone and is going still through Madison County. Let me show you the winds there again. Now crossing over into Estill County, and I was telling people there, I was giving them as much warning as possible. I've kind of offset that because I still want to do a track on the front edge of these gustier winds on this portion of the line. That is still racing east at about 60 miles per hour. So that's going to be Singap at 133, Irvin around 136. So we'll have a few minutes from now before the initial gust of winds picks up. Campton 158, Jackson at 211, Salyersville at 225. So let me clear all that off, and I want to do a whole reset for everybody that's just tuning in, okay? For our friends back to the west, I know we haven't mentioned you in a while because we were focused on the leading edge of the storms. This is where all of the severe thunderstorm warnings are. Back to the west, our friends in Danville and Liberty, and back over to Harrodsburg and Lawrenceburg and into Frankfort. Again, in those areas, just some rain now, nothing intense, but I want to turn on our storm tracks because this is going to show us, look here, this was in Danville, thunderstorm wind gusts of 60 miles per hour, but that was at 12:48, so almost an hour ago as the storms were moving in. We've had damage reports coming out of Taylor County, that's in the Campbellsville area from this line of storms at 12:15. A number of trees that were knocked down here in Russell County, 12:38. Power lines down in the city of Russell Springs. That's all because of this line of storm. So it'll take a while, obviously, to get a few more damage reports in our area as people are surveying the damage. In Lawrenceburg here, check this out, large branches blown out of mature oak trees. I was mentioning that earlier, and that is all from this line of storms as it continues to work its way eastbound. But look what's to the west here. You see this next line. The positive thing about this is that this first line of storms has worked the atmosphere over. There's not a ton of time between this first round of rain and this second cluster of storms that the atmosphere will really be able to supercharge. Yes, still impactful, still heavy rain, still a lot of lightning along that coming into Bowling Green. And you know where that's headed? That's moving due east, Campbellsville, Monticello, Jamestown, Liberty. So a pretty active day, but no warnings along that. The warnings are all on the front edge of this, okay? And I want to look back at the storms in our southern communities, our viewers down there. This part of the line is bowing out. So our friends down in Whitley County right now, Williamsburg, check it out. You see how there's a bit of it's very slight, but it's there nonetheless. See how we have this slight backward shaped C. This is what we call a bowing segment. And that is where the radar, it's indicating that the storm is pushing strong winds out, so it forces the rain, it forces the wind to take on this bit of a signature on radar. So that's where we could be also looking at winds that may be upwards of about 60 plus miles per hour. Corbin, it's on your doorstep, 147, and I think, you know what, it's going to get there a lot faster than that. Barberville at 155. Looking at some of the threats from this storm right now, maybe half-inch hail, but still the greatest concern is going to be for some damaging wind gusts all along that. Just tons of lightning. We'll clear off that storm track, and I'm going to put on another one along the northern portion of this line of thunderstorms. What we'll look at here, I want to look back at our storm relative velocity, not seeing any broad areas really along this. You have to look closely again all along the line for maybe some spin-up tornadoes. Not seeing at least much of that, but up here still working our way into Estill County, crossing again the Kentucky River right now. Right along it, you're going to find some intense winds. I think this is our strongest storm. It is now over and it's on the doorstep of Irvin. So I know we have a lot of viewers over there. I've done several school visits, many school visits over at Estill County, and I know a lot of people are likely either just getting home from church or you have your cookouts that are planned maybe out today, or maybe you're just at home and enjoying an afternoon. Still some very intense winds inside this portion of the storm. That I still don't think is a great indicator. Let's look here, and I want to switch back over to our normal velocity product. This is a little better indicator, not taking into account rotation. Look at that, 68 mile per hour gusts, all right? And we're getting closer to the radar here in Jackson. So the radar beam's not too far off the ground. It is elevated, obviously, with the curvature of the earth, but this is where we definitely have a good shot at seeing some 60 mile per hour gusts. And the power outages just will continue to climb. Looking back to the west, again, no new damage reports, at least coming in, thankfully, yet. We'll watch that for you closely. I'm going to go back to our normal radar view, and I want to take our future radar product out over an hour. This is going to take you out and give you this port. Look at that, how that is starting to bow out just a little bit, and that's right in that area Peyton and I was mentioning that's coming through Estill County, Powell County, western parts of Montgomery County. Up here, look at this, Nicholas County getting pounded right now in Carlisle. Maybe some hail along with that heavy rain and definitely some intense winds. That goes back North Middletown, Little Rock community, Mount Sterling. It is knocking on the door right now, and you don't have too much time within the next half hour. Owensville and also down into Moorhead. I said I wanted to put a future radar on this really quickly. 1 hour, look at that. So we're at 1:38 now, so at 2:38, this, you just saw it update. Let me animate it. And this takes it from where the storms are now to where they're going. So about 2:38, it's going to be east of Moorhead, and it'll be eventually knocking on the doorstep of West Liberty and Sandy Hook between about 2:30 and 2:45. Peyton?
Yeah, that's right. Let's go ahead and show you exactly what we're seeing here back off to the west and show you exactly what we're tracking just as a whole here. Let's go ahead and reset and just show you if you're just joining us. Obviously, Justin just showed you the future radar. So if you're out in our eastern Kentucky counties, this is working in your direction in just a few or over the next hour or so, especially if you're on the edge of the warning box here. So you still have some time to get ready, but let's go ahead and just do a closer inspection as a whole at what we're looking at. Again, Justin was talking about that Estill County storm, one of the strongest areas right now. Get to that in just a second. First, right now, right over Carlisle, working in the direction of Flemingsburg. If you're over in Fleming County, strong thunderstorm working in your direction, likely in the next 15 to 30 minutes, just depending on where you are across the county here. Here's the county line. If you're along US 68 right now, some nasty storms in that area. And again, if you're 68 up into Fleming and then just a little further to the north, I think that's Robertson up into Mason County there, you can see that is going to get pretty nasty over the next 30 minutes or so. We'll slide a little further to the south, Mount Sterling. This is working in your direction, Owensville into Bath County. Justin was talking about Moorhead. We were talking about Cave Run Lake. That's this area right here. You got about an hour or so until this line of storms gets over in your direction as well. So again, we've been talking about I-64. If you're along I-64, there's definitely, you definitely don't want to go outside right now. You don't want to travel along I-64, especially through eastern Kentucky. If you have travel plans this afternoon, just wait a little bit. It's not worth it going out in this rough weather. Stanton, back towards Frenchburg, Campton, along the Mountain Parkway here. If you're going out towards Salyersville eventually. This line is working in your direction. Justin was talking about this part of the storm working through Estill County right now as we speak. It's pretty nasty, damaging winds. We're talking about wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour, maybe even higher, which is definitely capable of producing damage. We've seen the history of that damage with downed trees and power lines. We'll slide a little further to the south. If you're out in Beattyville, Boonville, McKee, this is right on your doorstep. Beattyville, Boonville have about 30 minutes or so before it's right on top of you. London, we're talking about this working in your direction over the next few minutes in portions of Laurel County, right along the Hal Rogers Parkway between London back towards Manchester. You got about 30 minutes or so out in Manchester. We even working out towards Hazard. I know you're not in the warning box just yet. This is likely going to continue though and continue to get extended. So Hazard back into Hyman and Knott County. You got a little bit of time here. Corbin, this is pretty much right on your doorstep, right over you as well. We are talking about those main threats being the threat for damaging winds, even some spin-up tornadoes along that main line, Justin. So obviously that's definitely a concern as we go through the next several hours. And we're going to continue to watch this. Again, we've been talking about it from all the way down in Tennessee, all the way up into Ohio. This line of storms is really causing some significant problems, especially on this holiday weekend.
Yeah, that the whole line so far, here's some good news, all right? And we may just be taking a while to get some of this, surveying some of this damage, or if there is any, hopefully not. But looking here still with the National Weather Service, our partners there, so far, emergency managers are saying not a whole lot of damage being found through here. Hey, we don't want any. That's great news. But we're definitely have been tracking this and not crying wolf. We're just telling you that what the radar has been indicating that there was and still is a threat for some straight line winds all along this. Seeing one little minor tree down, it looks like here in Georgetown, courtesy of ham operator there just out in front of the Salvation Army. So small tree, all right? But back in Taylor County, outside of our viewing area, definitely some stronger winds have been found out there. At the moment, here on a quick reset of everything, we have a squall line going north to south, stretches from northern Kentucky right through central and southern parts of the state. It's all pretty much moving due east at the moment. We did have portions of the line going a little more northeasterly, but overall, the forward movement is off to the east. Back to the west, if I turn on the whole national radar here, this turns on all the radar products, or at least all the national radars. And this is going to show you what I'm talking about. Let me go to the national tab here, and this clears things up just a bit. This is our main line. This is the second line, okay? This portion of the line of storms is also going east, but you notice there is not any warnings along it until you get down into Tennessee. Part of the storm, or part of the area down here, that has not been impacted much by the first wave, meaning that the atmosphere there is more charged up, more unstable for some strong to severe storms. We'll still have to watch this, but it is moving east in behind this. So another hour or two from now, it's going to be moving back toward Lake Cumberland with more rain, still likely some gusty winds, and yeah, it could re-intensify. Now behind that though, we don't have anything going on at the moment across Illinois, across Missouri. And why are we looking back here? Because our front still yet to push through. This part of the United States is actually clear, and this is where we're expecting another area of storms, likely a squall line that develops late evening and then rolls east across the state. But the main show is still what's coming through here right now across the state, this leading edge. You see how initially it was more like a whole kind of a bowing line, but you see along this how there's initial little waves here, or kind of kinks in the line. Tornado warning?
Tornado warning now for Knox and Laurel and Whitley County.
Okay, all right. Well, we've already been wall to wall, but remember we talked about the potential for kinks along this line of storms. Let me go back into live mode here, and we'll survey. Can you read off the actual full warning there, Peyton, from the National Weather Service, what they're saying, where they're spotting possible rotation?
Yeah, so it looks like, again, actually right over the Corbin area right now as we speak, working towards Barberville as well, if you're down in that area. Right along I-75 and portions of Whitley County right now is where this is at this point. Let me read kind of over exactly what they're seeing. For southeastern Laurel County, south central Kentucky here in Knox County as well, and north central Whitley County. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Obviously, this is radar indicated at this point. 13 miles north of Williamsburg, moving east at around 35 miles per hour. So that's a little bit slower than we've been seeing these storms move earlier right now as well. And obviously, go ahead and get into your safe spot. Going to go ahead and turn on in the back. Could you switch over to links 2 for me really quick? Going to turn on just our velocity, show you what we're seeing. I mean, this is right over Corbin and North Corbin towards Campgrounds, Moore Hill, back towards, if you're in the Gray community, Rossland, Arkle, I think is how you say that. Excuse me if I mispronounce. But right now, this is right over the Corbin area as we speak.
Did they say what the forward movement on the part of the rotation is? Because I'm going to do
35 miles per hour.
35. Okay,
Yep.
so it's for this area here, right along I-75, and moving out of Corbin, and eventually on 25, but also if we head east, going out of Corbin and riding along and working your way down to Barberville. So that's where the rotation is. It was a little bit more intense the last scan, but I'm just going to track the whole part of this line because this is where we still have some straight line winds too that could be bowing out. But right along the leading edge of that and moving east at, you said 35?
Yeah, 35 miles per hour.
All right, well, I'll do it at 40 to speed it up just a little bit to kind of give us a little lead time. Again, Rosslyn at 148, Emmanuel at 152. The Providence community, that's going to be at your area. You just saw an update there at 154. Swan Pond at 156 and Tuttle at 156. So with the latest scan here, not as intense as it was, but let's look at our shear product. This is where rotation, you see a little bit of the green there in the legend at the top showing some weak rotation. It's right in this area. It's actually on top of Corbin. So if there's a tornado, it would be here and working its way off to the east. That tornado warning goes until 2:15, so we have a little less than 30 minutes left on that. And we'll watch that rotation as it keeps moving east. It's not terribly strong, but remember, we've been telling you all along that today, as this whole line of storms would move east, anywhere along this line that we get a bit of a kink that can form because of so much of the turbulent winds on the leading edge of this, we could get a quick spin-up tornado. And that's likely what we've indicated here, that the radar saw some rotation in Corbin and it's moving eastbound. So all along that. Let me go back to your standard radar view. Look at all the lightning. You see that notch there, and it's on the northern part of this, all right? See how you get this little bit of a notch here on a little bit of a bend on the northern part of the storm, right on top of Corbin. So everybody lives in Corbin right now. Anybody that lives into, let's say, even southern parts of Laurel County, so here's London, so but south of there, so near Corbin, off to the east in Knox County, here's Barberville, so even including you, from Barberville back to Corbin, everybody down here needs to be in the lowest floor of your home. Some of you may have a basement, a lot of you don't. Lowest floor though, all right? First level, interior room, away from windows. Centermost portion of that home, okay? You want to stay away from windows. So if your bathroom has windows, you don't want to go there. Interior room without windows is the safest place to be. As many walls between you and that possible tornado outside. Also too, good time, yeah, cover up with pillows, put a baseball helmet on, some kind of helmet, all right? Kids have those, bike helmets, put it on. It's going to protect their heads, again, from any flying debris that may be out there. Even on the whole leading edge of this, I mean, this has been bowing out for quite a while now, and that's where the whole line, I mean, this whole section could definitely be producing some damaging winds. And you can see this storm track that's even here, that's taking at least the apex, the bowing center portion of this line that's still going out or really crossing out of the northern part of Whitley County over into Knox. Look at these smaller communities again. Even without the tornadic portion, still straight line winds, maybe 70 miles an hour near Boone Heights at 156, Heydrich at 157. Or 156 rather, in Bimble at 158. Thankfully, still no reports coming out of this. Doesn't mean that people need to be out looking at this or trying to look and find a possible tornado. You don't want to do that. You want to stay inside until the storm passes on by. There's a new scan. Let's look back inside the storm because I want to see what the winds are doing, the latest scan. Definitely noticing this forward movement here. See more brighter greens. What we're looking for on the radar here on this picture are winds that are going in opposite directions next to each other. The green shades, the cooler colors, are winds that are going toward the radar. All right, the wind is blowing, raindrops toward the radar. The reds, the warm shades of colors, are winds that are blowing the raindrops away from the radar. So right in here, just east of Corbin, if we were to have a tornado it would be in this vicinity, just east of town and moving east out of, again, so here's Corbin, here's Whitley County. It's kind of hard to see all the counties here because they line up real close together. Here's Laurel County, here's Whitley, and here is Knox County. So it's riding right along Laurel and Knox counties, all right? Right along the county line there. Peyton?
Yeah, well, actually, it looks like they have extended this tornado warning now for portions of Bell and Whitley County. So now we have 2 tornado warnings in this same area. If we could kind of, I'll show you exactly. Justin was just highlighting the rotation right here, just to the east of Corbin. I was going to put a time tracker on that, but let's go ahead and analyze really quickly this new one that just came into the south. Again, this is for portions of Whitley down into Bell County. This goes until 2:15, and really the rotation right now, and this is a tough spot, Justin. We talk about this all the time just because it's so far between all of the radar sites, being right along the Tennessee border here, but really rotation's not looking as impressive with this one. I would say even less impressive than the one up in portions now working into Knox County. What are you seeing over there?
Yeah, same thing, and I'm going to read off the text here of what the Weather Service said about that new tornado warning. Looking here, I'm seeing the same thing, that it would be very broad. So a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near over Wilkerson, or 13 miles southeast of Williamsburg, moving east at 35 miles per hour. This is radar indicated. There is no sign yet that there is one on the ground, and it's not for this one. I was just reading you the text for the warning that is further south right here. So we actually have a storm track on it. Let's track that. Our radar indicating that BTI, Barron Tornado Index, at a 3.2. That's relatively low, but that's just an indicator. It goes usually up to, on a scale from, like, let's say 1 to 10. Sometimes I've rarely seen it that it goes over 10. So the higher that number, the higher that our radar says that there could be a tornado. All right, but regardless of that, still some very strong winds, maybe a tornado that could spin up at any time here. Frakes at 202, Goins 203, all the way down to Capito at 208. So you're talking about, you're getting in rural areas, you're crossing out of Whitley County and over into Bell County here. All right, let me widen out so you can see what I'm talking about. Here is where we have at least some broad rotation, very broad, southern part of Whitley County. Here's Jellicoe Mountain. It would be just off to the north of that. It'd be moving east, and likely if there is a tornado, it would pass very close or just north of Middlesboro. So everybody in Bell County, including Pineville, should go into an interior room, lowest floor of the home. I know we go over this often, away from windows until this storm passes by, okay? And we'll revisit the other warning. Let me clear that off, and we'll revisit the other severe, or tornado warning, I should say, that's a little bit further off to the north. And that takes us up eventually into northern parts of Knox County. So a lot of warnings here for you today. We've so far had severe thunderstorm warnings. This is very broad. If there's a tornado, it still would just be, it would be here now. The updated scan, kind of on the northern, kind of a bookend, but more on the northern side. And see here also, another little area where there could be a quick spin up tornado. It's outside of the actual tornado warning. That's why we say anytime there's a squall line like this, a little bit of a notch, a little bit of an inflow, you can get a spin up tornado in a hurry. So you should treat all these severe thunderstorm warnings as if a tornado could happen in a second, okay? Because our atmosphere, we're in a volatile situation. You get these straight line winds on the front edge of that. It doesn't take much to kind of spin up a tornado on the leading edge, and that could happen, could be happening anywhere along this line, just east of London, and then working your way a little bit further down the south. I've got my drawing tool on. Let me clear that off so I can pan back to the south here. For sure, even without a tornado, if there's not one in Barberville right now, you are really getting hit with winds that are 60, 70 miles per hour. Before we go, I want to go back to that. I want to talk about this other part of the line. up to the north. Look at this. Flemingsburg, storms are on your doorstep right now. These are severe. Severe thunderstorm warning for Fleming County till 2:15. So we've got obviously about 20 minutes left on that. That portion of the storm intensifies a bit as we go into Bath County. So Owensville, we could be looking at some straight line winds there. Also look at our twisting of the wind signature here starting to show up very close to Frenchburg. You know what that is? That's another one of those kinks in the line that I was mentioning that we could have a tornado. And so I'm going to put a track on that front of that portion of the line. Let me go back to the storm relative velocity here. And you see right there on the leading edge. I want everybody in Frenchburg right now and Menifee County, even without a tornado, to be in your tornado safe spot now. Giving the call out, even without a tornado warning. I want everybody in Frenchburg, I want everybody within Menifee County to be into your tornado safe spot. Basement if you've got it. If you don't have it, I want you as many walls as you can between the outside portion of your home. Interior room, a closet, a hallway, a closet that's under a staircase. Great place to be if you don't have a basement. Put on some tennis shoes, get some blankets, get a mattress, get a helmet, put it on. Going into interior room right there, that is the strongest rotation I have seen so far for the day. And I want to put a track just on that portion of the line that is moving northeast, and it is going to be impacting here very soon in Frenchburg. This line is racing, so I'm just going to put it at 50. Frenchburg 201. So you're only talking about 5 minutes from now, maybe a little bit more before a possible tornado comes. It's going to come very close to the city of Frenchburg itself, up toward the Ratliff area at 205, Scranton at 208, Korea at 210, and Big Woods also at 210. Peyton, could you check with the Weather Service to see if they are looking at that and say if they may issue a warning? Because regardless, that's much stronger rotation than what I'm seeing with the part of the storm that's tornado warned coming out of the Corbin area and into Knox County.
Yeah, Justin, so far I'm going to message them right now and just see what they're thinking. So far, they have not put out anything, keeping an eye on that. These storms, I do want to just mention this really quickly. These storms have now become deadly. We've gotten confirmed one fatality out of the Louisville metro area. Obviously, not a lot of information on that, but that just goes to speak to the power of this line of storms. Again, that rotation now in Menifee County you were mentioning, I'm going to reach out to the Weather Service really quickly to see if they're going to put a warning on that. But that's what we've been talking about. There's also a report out of Laurel County from the tornado warned storm that was moving through the Corbin area and those areas just earlier. Laurel County 911 mentioned that they've spotted a possible tornado. Obviously, that was several minutes ago, so this is now working eastward and now is actually about almost, that area of rotation is almost outside of the warning box down there in northern portions of Knox County, about to cross over into Clay County as well here. So we've been talking about this. All these little notches are definitely a possibility. Still monitoring this area up in Frenchburg. Latest scan, it doesn't look as impressive, but still some rotation there coming in right over the town of Frenchburg right now as we speak, Justin. Yeah,
and with those tornadoes that may form today, they can spin up in a hurry and then just weaken out before you know it, and then it's gone, it's dissipated. So that's why we have to, sometimes you're going to get something that could happen or spin up in a hurry, and then that's why we're giving you as much warning as possible. All right, we're looking back at the tornado warning again down into, this is Bell County right here, and here is the eastern part of Whitley County. Again, we're in a zone. We find ourselves here far away from the radar. The terrain, it's very hard to see through here at some of the rotation that could be out, but nonetheless, if we would have a tornado, it's going to be still to the west of Middlesboro and riding just north of the state line. So that's going to be put in it. Here's the Frakes community, Pruden. Again, some of these smaller communities, forgive me if I'm pronouncing them wrong. The Fonde community, Capito, we're getting out here. A lot of people, if you live in these communities, you know where they are. I'm trying to get some of these other roads to pop up. Hard to see some of these just outside of our viewing area. on the fringe at least. That's why some of the roads aren't popping up. Now we go further off to the east. This would be going over eventually toward Edgewood and then working our way from there into Middlesboro. So that's still ways to go. Further up to the north though, this line of the storms keeps working its way out of, this is a second portion of the storm that we've been watching for you that's going through Barberville as we speak. But further to the north is where we have to keep an eye on that second little notch that may be showing up here on the leading edge of this coming east of London. So yes, a severe thunderstorm warning, Burning Springs, Manchester. This part of the storm is moving east toward you. Marydale at 203, Pigeon Roost at 211, and then working all the way down toward the Blue Hole area at 216. That is for a part of the storm that could produce winds over 60 miles per hour. But I'm not seeing that rotation as much as what it was just a short time ago. Severe thunderstorm warning for Laurel and Clay counties till 2:30. That also goes over into portions of, again, Leslie County. So a number of warnings all along this entire line. I want to revisit back up into the Frenchburg area. Again, that one scan, or at least a couple of radar scans, was showing that we had at least some stronger rotation there than anything that we had seen. Our twisting of the wind signature has gone away, but still we could be looking at a little broad rotation showing up here. Let me go back over to storm relative. You could see a little bit more. See how where the reds are next to the green. So for sure, some strong straight line winds. We could get a quick spin up tornado there. Storm track is kind of lagging behind that just a bit, but this whole line is still bowing out and definitely is going to be impactful. Further north on the line though, through Bath County and Fleming County here, not seeing any signs of any real rotation, but seeing that we could definitely be looking once again at some straight line winds that are going through. Let's turn on our storm. Again, our storm reports kind of reset up here into Scott County. This was a large tree limbs down on the south end of Georgetown. That was from the storms as they keep moving east. But you notice along the line near I-75, not seeing much in the way of at least any damage reports right now, which is good. I want to look at the shear along this. I'm going to turn the lightning off too because it gets a little bit noisy and it's almost hard to kind of see where we would potentially have some of that the radar indicating the rotation. It's going to be lighter areas of some green, but you see it right into Frenchburg right now. That's one little, see how tiny that is? That's along 460 here coming into Frenchburg. So we'll zoom in even further and show you some of these smaller communities again. If this is not a tornado, it still could be producing some straight line winds in Frenchburg, the Ratliff community, and then eventually over towards Scranton. So we're still in Menifee County, over toward Big Woods, Korea, and then the Dane community. That's going to continue to race eastbound. Down to the south where the actual tornado warnings continue, I'm going to head back that direction. I'm looking all along this line to see if the radar you see here in parts of Lee County, Heidelberg, a little bit of green, so some weak rotation. I think that's more straight line wind related. Then we go further south, and this is the part of the storm that's coming out of, again, that has the tornado warning. They're still leaving a very small sliver here, Peyton, on the leading edge of that. I mean, this is very, very broad rotation. So if there were a tornado, it would be in this vicinity, but the radar is definitely, there is not a clear-cut sign of rotation for sure. Right here, you can definitely see higher straight line winds, and again, it could spin up a tornado on the leading edge of that. Look at these winds in western Clay County, Peyton, still. And the radar estimates of winds here, you see that little blue pixel between 60 and 70 miles per hour. So that in itself, Peyton, is enough that can definitely do some damage.
Yeah, for sure, Justin, and we're seeing that damage taking place. The power outage map continues to light up across the region. Let's go ahead and take it full and just go county by county, let you know exactly what we're seeing as far as those power outages goes. Let's start in Scott County, where we have over 1,500 customers right now without power. Here in Fayette County, over 1,500 customers without power. Woodford County, 2,161 customers without power. In Franklin, over 1,000 customers customers, over 2,000 customers without power right now in Anderson County. These are some of the higher ones. Mercer County, 1,100 customers without power. We go down to Pulaski County, just under 2,000 customers without power down there in the Somerset area. Wayne County has just under 1,000 customers. Over in Clinton County, which is just on the other side of Wayne County there, looks like almost just over 2,500 customers without power. So a lot of areas we're continuing to see this increase across the area. Louisville right now is leading the way in power outages. Over in Jefferson County, just back off to the west, 37,772 customers without power. So that just goes to show you exactly what we're seeing these storms do, taking down trees and power lines. And as we've been saying the past several days, Justin, the straight line winds were really the big concern here. That's obviously what we're seeing take place. And again, we've been mentioning it anytime with a situation in a setup like this, you can see a quick spin up tornado take place. That's why we're getting a couple of these warnings. So that's why everyone just really needs to take this seriously, especially considering we're talking about 60, 70 mile per hour winds, 60 to 70 from time to time. And the very heavy rainfall. You've been talking about the lightning and of course the potential there for a spin up tornado. And going through the weather chat, again, we saw some 911 out in Laurel County reporting a possible tornado down in that area for that one warned storm. So we'll see if that is true or not later on. Obviously, when it's rain wrapped, which would be the situation a lot of these storms are in, it's very hard to tell. So we'll just have to see, but that's why you need to take this very seriously, because even if you're not under a tornado warning, we've seen this before where a quick spin up can take place. And regardless, we're dealing with really damaging winds. And again, I mentioned just moments ago, this line of storms here has now become deadly. One fatality out of Louisville, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mayor Greenberg had sent that or tweeted that out over in Louisville. I want to look again here along this portion of the line where they were saying that at least the 911 in Laurel County that was saying a possible tornado around Old Way Road. That was about 13, 14 minutes ago, and Lick Fork Road in Laurel County. That would have been for that area that I was kind of highlighting moving east. I don't see that really showing up clearly now. Looking back off to the west in Pulaski County, ham operator reporting, Chad Begley says that on Highway 192 in Pulaski County, the road is impassable at this time. Fire and County Road Department is working on a number of trees that are blocking Highway 192 in Pulaski County. So it's impassable at this time, but obviously the road crews are going there to work on that and get that cleaned up. Let me kind of reset here and look at this storm. Very intense winds coming into Clay County right now. They still have that tornado warning going, but I think that's going to be allowed to expire, because if there's any rotation left on this, it's actually outside of where the warning polygon is right now. Let me switch back over to storm relative velocity here, and we'll look inside. I am seeing very little here. What I am definitely seeing more of concern would be for the potential for still some straight line winds. So I think that tornado threat on that part in Knox County has ended, at least more straight line winds. Now to the south, look at this. You can see it a little bit more clearly here. Here's Middlesboro, just west of here. We could still be looking at a tornado just west and northwest of the city of Middlesboro. So anybody in Bell County right now, from Middlesboro all the way up to Pineville and points west and north of there need to be into your tornado safe spot right now until this line of storms races on by, all right? It's moving east. The movement of this was, I think it was more easterly at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. So I'll just put a track and speed it up so you can have as much, at least, head time or leadway to get into your safe spot. I mean, it's moving at least 35 or 40. That's going to put it in Binghamtown at 214, Cumberland Gap 219, Hutch 223, Nashville 226, and Gibson Mill at 227. So that's for the tornado warning in Bell County. That goes until 2:15. 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. They may extend that further out. I have not got update on that yet, if they're going to extend it. Let me widen out and head a little further north on the line, looking all along this. back up into Menifee County because I was there earlier. That portion of the storm here definitely looking less intense in terms of there being any at least rotation. Straight line winds would likely be more of a concern. Here's your standard radar view one more time, and boy, is it just pouring the rain. Remember, we were telling people on Cave Run Lake that they had about an hour and that would be getting closer there in the Moorhead area between about 2:15 and 2:30. It's strongest of it is still just west of town, but it's definitely crossing over into western Rowan County right now. Fleming County definitely getting impacted. Flemingsburg, you're getting the brunt of it. The strongest of it is actually just moved east of town, still kind of going south. This portion of the storm near Goddard, Muses Mills, and then going up toward Crum and Glen Springs, going up toward Charters, though you could see the estimated times of arrival of that part of the storm. Capability of hail, maybe pea to nickel size hail, at least not seeing the radar indicating that it would be 1 inch in diameter. All right, so a number of, look at this entire line has warnings all along, and it looks like, Peyton, they did just issue a new tornado warning to go east, but again, really, Bell County is our fringe area right now. This is a warning that goes over into Virginia, which is definitely outside of our viewing area, but it's a continuation of that tornado warning that has some rotation along it that's going to be heading right here. It's weak, but it's still there nonetheless. But this is also in a zone that the radar has a very hard time seeing through, one, higher terrain, but also we're getting further away from the radar. This is a 1 hour track. You can see how it has a little bit of green along it. The current radar shows just west, again, of Middlesboro, Peyton, is if there's a tornado, this is where it's going to be, okay? Toward Edgewood, you're going to be getting some of these smaller communities. West Cumberland Avenue, some smaller roads here. This is going to be going over toward High Night Hollow Road. West Cumberland Avenue. This is going to eventually track over toward the Prater Road area, No Town, and eventually up toward Binghamtown. And then you get up over toward Sherwood Road, Alley Street, Exeter Avenue. That is obviously going into the west side of Middlesboro. Peyton, are you looking at the same storm, or are you looking at the whole line?
Looking at the whole line, but I just wanted to mention really quickly, the Weather Service says this tornado warning that's still in portions of Knox County, they're going to allow that to expire. And as Justin was just talking about, really not much, if any, rotation showing up with that one. Now the one down in Bell County towards Middlesboro, those areas still need to keep a lookout on that with some broad rotation. Also getting some reports now into the feed, seeing some pictures here coming in down around Lake Cumberland, some very large trees down. This is in the Pulaski County area. Looks like Slate Branch Road, I believe, and Bridge Hollow Road. So very large trees down in those areas right now, coming into the chat as well. And it looks like they have extended the severe thunderstorm warning as expected. They've extended it further east, now pretty much bordering West Virginia at this point, and for the most part, not including Pike County and looks like Martin County just yet, but it's still a ways out. But you can see significant line of storms continues for us across the area. So let's go piece by piece, show you exactly what we're seeing. Pretty much up from the Ohio River all the way down south. Fleming County, you're getting hit hard right now. Portions of Bath County, Justin was just talking about the Cave Run Lake area. If you're in Rowan County, a strong line of storms working in your direction right now as we speak. Moorhead, this is right on your doorstep. If you're in Rowan County along I-64, likely want to pull off, or if you're planning on traveling here shortly, I would not do that at this point. Down towards Frenchburg and Menifee County, some very heavy rain and storm activity. Also, something to mention, while Lexington is drying out right now, we have gotten a couple reports of houses struck by lightning. Fire department says that's all under control. However, but that just emphasizes that there are a lot of threats with this, not just the threat for damaging winds, but also significant lightning with this line of storms. And actually, I have the lightning on the map turned off, and the reason for that is there's so much lightning you can't even see any of the data coming up on the radar there. So keep that in mind, that you definitely want to be inside, especially considering we've had a couple houses here in Lexington struck by lightning. Fire department again says that's under control. Severe thunderstorm warning here now goes all the way into Greenup, Boyd County, down into Lawrence County. If you're in Louisa, you still have plenty of time till this gets to you, about an hour or so. But they went ahead, put the warning out in advance. Morgan County, this is right on your doorstep, working in your direction. Same with Elliott County if you're out in Sandy Hook. We'll slide a little further to the south here. Now working towards Campton. If you're along Mountain Parkway, down towards the Red River Gorge. I mean, we've been talking about a lot of outdoor activities this weekend. If you're camping down in that neck of the woods, definitely want to go ahead and get in a safe spot. If you're in a camper or a tent, you'll want to find a secure structure to ride this out in. Salyersville in Magoffin County, all the way back into Floyd County, Prestonsburg. You are now under this severe thunderstorm warning. You still have some time. If you're in Salyersville and especially Prestonsburg up into Johnson County towards Paintsville as well. Still have about an hour or so until this gets to you, but the warning is already in place because it's likely going to continue on this path. If you're down towards Jackson, you still have about 30 minutes or so before it moves to you. Manchester, portions of Clay County, just very heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning. We still have that tornado warning for portions of Bell County and then over into Southwest Virginia. Obviously, that gets outside of the viewing area here. You're in Middlesboro, just to the east of Middlesboro is where that warning continues. If you're in, let's see, portions of Leslie over into Perry and Knott County, Hindman back towards Hazard, again, Hal Rogers Parkway through eastern Kentucky here. You still have some time, especially if you're in Hazard, about 30 minutes or so, 45 to an hour. In Hindman, same story, about an hour until it gets to Whitesburg. But this line of storms looking pretty impressive right now, and likely right on the, let's see, is that the Clay-Leslie County line here? Likely some hail in this core right here. That looks pretty intense, working into Leslie County here in the next few minutes, just south of the Hal Rogers Parkway. And again, pretty much heavy rain continuing there. I do want to go ahead and flip things over to the velocity here, show you what we are seeing down in Bell County around Middlesboro. If there's any rotation right now, it's going to be right, well, really right back in here, but really it's not looking as impressive as it was. Again, I'm looking at it just as you are on TV, analyzing it really quickly, and it's not looking as impressive. Maybe a little bit right over Middlesboro. Notice they trimmed back the warning slightly though. Again, this is a very hard spot for the radar to really pick up on that, and that's just because obviously the terrain, and it's a little further from the radar site, so it's sometimes harder for it to pick up. But if there is any rotation or tornado, this is where it would be, right around the Middlesboro area and working eastward, and it's about out of really the state of Kentucky, working towards Virginia right now. Justin?
Yeah, I'm going to show I'm going to show some pictures that our viewers have Apple TV pulled up on screen mirroring. Let me know when you have that, because I want to show some of these pictures from our viewers. This is from Tyler. He goes out and does a lot of storm chasing and has some pictures out of Mercer County of some damage. It was all across the county of some trees that are down. So a number of counties obviously are going to be dealing with that. I'm sure there's many tree branches or full trees that are down across our region right now. This is the picture right here. You could see of one of the trees that was across the road. Let me switch this and see. He says several roads are either partially blocked or completely blocked with tree damage across Mercer County. So let me take the picture back full so you can see a little bit more clear. Off in the distance, you see that large tree that is covering the road there, and road crews, highway crews are there, and they're trying to get that tree off the road. There's another tree that's off in the distance that's covering the road. He didn't list what road this is, but this is a number of trees crossing over Mercer County, okay? So that's just some of the pictures that you, our viewers, have sent. This was also as the storm from Johnny Nicholson was coming through the Corbin area. It's a video, so wait for it to load here, but definitely gives you a clear indication of how strong the storms were as they were moving through that vicinity. It doesn't look like it wants to load. So at the moment, let's go back over to the radar and I'll show you what I'm tracking. This is the storm that's into the Middlesboro area right now. If there's any rotation left, and it'll be very broad and weak here, it's going to be in that vicinity. And I think the Weather Service, bear with me here as I go back in the chat, I think that they have allowed that warning to expire, because I saw it popping up there on my screen as I was tracking the information. expires the tornado warning for Bell County. So Bell County out of that. Let me lay my phone down here and I'm going to zoom out the radar a little bit clearer. Looks like the warning is still ongoing over. It still has it on our radar, but it could be taking a while to update in our system. They still have that part of the warning going into Virginia. So again, I still see some broad rotation right on top of Middlesboro at the moment. So anybody that lives in Binghamtown, Middlesboro, over toward Cumberland Gap, in this southeastern part of the state here, stay in that lowest floor of your home until this storm passes on by. It's moving relatively fast, between about 40 miles an hour, very close to it. So Cumberland Gap, it's on. I mean, it's there right now within a minute or two. Harrogate, you're looking at just dropped off. Cumberland Gap 226, Hutch at 231, Wheeler at 235. So again, you're crossing yourself over into Virginia at that point, which does go out of our viewing area. Technically, Bell County is not in our total coverage area. Let me look at everything that we still have left all along this line of storms. I want to clear off that latest storm track. Look at the entire line here. We have a number of thunderstorms still severe. This portion of it to the south is really bowing out. This means that the storm likely has some intense winds that are coming through. This is now going, this is Clay County, this is Leslie County. Leslie and Harlan counties here, boy, we have really got some strong winds. This is bowing out. Let me look actually inside at the velocity. Doesn't indicate it as much, but we likely still have potential for some winds through Leslie and Clay County and Perry County down the line, even though it's not there yet. That warning goes until 3 p.m. Looking at our whole viewing area, I just did this a moment ago, but back to the west, I want to show you the next wave of storms. None of these are severe right now, but definitely impactful with another little line. The atmosphere just hasn't had a chance from this first wave to this second wave to really kind of recharge a bit to get the atmosphere going more. So these at the moment not severe, but we have to watch right along the Kentucky and Tennessee state line here because this portion may start to see some peaks of sun or a little bit of energy kind of redevelop there. But the main show still is all on the leading edge of this, and that's going to be taking it right into Moorhead right now. That's where we have frequent flashes of lightning, maybe some gustier winds here. Let me switch back over to the Jackson radar because we're looking far. This is bowing out West Liberty. You're on the doorstep here. Heavy rain is about to really start moving into West Liberty, and so are the straight line winds. I would say at least the potential for 60 plus. All along this, and that's what they issued the warning for. I think we're starting to see portions of this line get a little bit weaker by looking at this compared to what it was a little bit earlier, but still treat it obviously as if that you could have some tree limbs that come down, and as much rain as some of the state has seen, especially southern Kentucky, root system's going to be a little bit weaker because the ground's saturated, so the ground's soggy, so it wouldn't take much to knock over some trees, probably even with some gusts that could push 50 miles an hour with some of these storms. Still looking at this storm here, maybe some broad rotation along the leading edge. This is going to be Morgan County, and this is going to be Rowan County, kind of there on the county line, very broad over toward the Craney area. Looking at broad rotation, but for sure the shot that you could get some winds, straight line winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Everybody in the Lexington and surrounding areas, we'll revisit here just to show you that we have seen the heavy rain move out. All right, we're actually drying out for the moment. Sorry about that. It was still stuck on my hand tracker, still stuck on my hand for a moment. This is some dry time. Georgetown, Lexington, Winchester, Paris, and Cynthiana. Down in Nicholasville, so a little window of opportunity maybe to finish your cookout before the next round of storms moves in back to the west, but at least these at the moment are not severe, okay? And they also did, in the middle of all of this, issue a new severe thunderstorm watch. The tornado watch looks like that they allowed it to expire early since that line of storms moved out. Severe thunderstorm watch until 8 p.m., but that does not include all of our viewing area. It was actually for this initial wave of storms that is coming through, and it's already east of Lexington at the moment. Peyton?
Just want to point something out. There is some very broad rotation right now in eastern portions of Lee County. This is almost on the county line, crossing over here into Breathitt County. The Weather Service says they're watching it very closely. And if this area right here, I'm going to show you it, circle it on the map for you. But if this area right here tightens anymore, they are saying they might put a warning out for it. So we're going to watch that very closely. Obviously, it is very broad at this point, especially with the latest scan. But that's really what we've been seeing over the past little bit. These broad areas of rotation that are leading and that's exactly what sparked those tornado warnings down across our southernmost communities. We were also watching that one earlier in the Frenchburg area in Menifee County. So we'll continue to watch that very closely. Again, that's in far eastern Lee County, about to cross over into Breathitt County here as these strong storms continue to march across the state, now working through eastern Kentucky as we speak. Let's go ahead and just do a wider view of exactly what we're seeing here, and I'm going to walk you through it place by place and town by town here. Steady rain now working into the Rowan County area. We were talking about that earlier, now pushing just to the east. So if you're also into Morgan County right now, if you're in West Liberty and those areas, want to go ahead and move indoors really quickly because we were talking about it. I want to throw on the lightning here. And again, it's really impedes what we're seeing on the radar. So that's why we've been leaving it off. But there is a lot of lightning with this system. We are mentioning emergency folks have said that even here in Lexington, when this line moved through, that we had a couple houses struck by lightning as well. So just keep that in mind. You want to be inside, away from lightning, away from windows. As best as you can. Also a good idea to just stay away and inside the most interior part of your home, just because we have such damaging winds. And if you get any debris or any thing coming down, obviously you want to be away from those windows. Let's go a little further south now, working in, again, portions of Morgan County here, right towards West Liberty right now as we speak. Route 460, this is working in your direction right now, and this will continue if you're out in Johnson County, Lawrence County, even up towards Elliott County. You still got a little bit of time, but this is still a warning for you as well. We'll slide a little further south down into portions of Wolfe County, right over Red River Gorge area right now as we speak. So we were warning you that if you're camping in a camper, things like that, want to get to a stable building and be indoors if you can as this continues to march eastward. If you're out in Salyersville, Prestonsburg, even down towards Jackson, this is working in your direction. Salyersville got about 30-40 minutes or so for this works in your direction. Prestonsburg about an hour. If you're in Jackson, we're talking about the next 10 to 15 minutes or so as this line continues to march east. We were talking about that little bit of rotation. Gonna throw back on and see, and actually this has moved into portions of Breathitt County here now, and there's no tornado warning on it. But there is a little bit of rotation coming up right near Chenoweth and just to the east of Oakdale, working towards Wolverine and just north of Jackson. So we are seeing a little bit of rotation there. I'll throw back on the velocity. Again, it's very, very broad at this point. But again, you can have a quick spin up tornado in these setups. So we're going to continue to watch for that. Let's slide a little further to the south here down into Leslie County now. Severe thunderstorm for you continues until 3 o'clock as this is marching right through Leslie County as we speak, right along Hal Rogers Parkway, Highway 421 as well. If you're out in Perry County, portions near Hazard, back up into Knott County as well. You still have some time, but this is working in your direction. A nasty looking thunderstorm here. And again, if you are on right along Highway 421 right now in Leslie County, this is just a nasty looking storm, likely even seeing some hail here. And this storm does have history of producing hail. We can see that on the radar right now as we speak. So if you're in eastern Kentucky, we've been on air talking about this for quite some time now. If you're out in eastern Kentucky, you've probably been like, where is the storms? Or where are the storms? Because they're not here just yet. And you may have even seen a few peeks at the sun earlier today. They are now marching on towards you. And these warnings are, again, well in advance, and which is a good thing since it is the holiday weekend. A lot of people doing or enjoying outdoor activities. So these warnings are well in advance. So our far eastern Kentucky counties, you still have a little bit of time, but go ahead and make your preparations, move inside, because this line of strong to severe storms is continuing to march eastward. And Justin, we've been watching it pretty much as it's worked across the entire state today. And we now have, at last check, statewide now, we have 182,732 customers now without power across the entire state. So power outages continue to climb, continue to see damage. On the brighter side, a lot of the damage we're seeing is things like trees and power lines down, not seeing massive damage, at least just yet, but that's not to say that that couldn't happen.
Yeah, definitely the case there. And going back to that storm that was over in the Louisville area, that one fatality, LMPD, that's the Louisville Metro Police Department, says that a man was killed when he was struck by a tree on Hobbs Station Road off Dorsey Lane. If you're not familiar with Louisville, at least where Dorsey Lane is, that is on the east side of Louisville. All right, so that's why we say, even with the severe thunderstorm that can knock down trees, and you're at about even just a tree limb, doesn't take an entire tree. If a tree branch falls down on you, that obviously can lead to injuries or, in this case, a fatality. Sad to hear that today, but that's why we stay on in programming. I know that we have a football game that's going to be coming on, or it's about to start. We may double box that so you can actually still see the programming. But before we do that, I want to stay with this. It looks like that tornado warning for Bell County. Here's some good news about that. Remember, I was telling you that even though the rotation was broad, it was starting to cross outside of our viewing area. And right now, the rotation is over into Virginia. So if you live in Bell County right now, it still shows that there's a warning here, but the threat for a tornado is now across the state line into the extreme western tip there of, again, Virginia, and that's going to be over, you can see here, in Lee County, Virginia. So that tornado threat for Bell County is over. That's good news. Tornado warning for Bell County. That threat has ended. And I know they included a sliver of, again, working your way over into a sliver of Harlan County. I just don't really see much there. Where I see that rotation that is now moved is outside of our state. So right here, and it's broad, we're looking way away from our radar. Maybe some broad rotation here in southwest Harlan, but that is not likely anything that is tornado producing types of, at least, rotation. Back up to the north, though, strong winds are still along this. We're starting to lose likely a little intensity. Let me go back to your normal standard radar view here so you can see what I'm talking about. Still strong. Looks like this is getting right now into West Liberty, this severe part of the line of storms. It's going to be going over toward Sandy Hook here soon. We can put a new storm track on the whole front edge of this. And still, the last time I checked, the forward movement of that warning going into Elliott County. Let me double check that. I think the forward movement still, the last time I looked on all these storms, was moving at about 40 plus miles per hour. So that storm is going to be racing off to the east. They still are giving it that threat of at least 70 mile per hour wind gusts and maybe some nickel-sized hail along this. And the movement is east, actually, at 65. So that is racing very quickly. Let me widen out so I can actually put a little storm track on the whole front edge of this line of storms. This part's out of our viewing area, but it's going over into Lewis County. We have some viewers in Carter County, so we'll put a track on the whole front edge of this, give you a little bit of lead time here. Again, 65 miles an hour. I mean, you're on the interstate moving at that speed, all right? 65 miles an hour. Again, these small communities, it's already there. Enterprise now. Lytton is right now. Oldfield Mobile Home Park now. Little Sandy now. Flores community at 2:36. So, I mean, you're only talking minutes from now that the potential for winds at about 60, 70 miles an hour moving in. Sandy Hook, you got a little bit ways to go. Let me look here at our future radar and we can slow this down. This takes it out over the next hour, and I'll put it into motion. Watch here. Watch that squall line. So we're at 234 right now, and it's still west of Sandy Hook. It's going to be coming into Sandy Hook here within the next 10-15 minutes. And then from there, about an hour from now, it's right on top of Louisa in an hour from now, which would be out of going eventually over out of Louisa. It'll be crossing over into western parts of West Virginia. Down the line we go, Prestonsburg. Yep. Line of storm is going to be in your area within an hour, all right? And then the southern flank of this is exiting the state, so that's good. But we have some of you are like, okay, what about this next wave? I've been getting some questions on Twitter. All right, the next wave that's moving in here, it's moving into an atmosphere that's been worked over, just churned over from storms, and that rain-cooled air. We just haven't had a chance to re-intensify. So this next wave that's currently back west of Danville right now, let me stop the loop, and this is going to take us back to our current time. You'll see that these storms are definitely not at severe levels. I mean, they're stronger as we get back off to the west, but they are not to the strength of the storms that first moved through earlier today. Let me stop the loop. This takes us to the current frame. You see what I'm talking about? No warnings along that. But what comes in later tonight? Well, let me take you on Futurecast, all right? Now, this is a computer model, so it's not going to be dead on accurate like the future radar that goes out an hour, all right? But this is going to be very close. This is starting at 3:30, so it's really over-flaring this second wave that's coming in right now. But what I want to show you, that moves out by evening. For sure. I think it's going to be out of here quicker than this. This is by 6 p.m. Watch as we go into tonight. Shows another line of storms back to the west developing and moving across the state late evening and potentially lingering into the wee hours of tonight. And if I go back to the national radar picture, this is going to show you that what's happening back into our west right now on a U.S. perspective. Look. There's nothing going on back here yet. This is the zone where storms are likely going to refire later today and ahead of a front, and those would be the storms that I was just showing you for late evening, all right? So this is going to be talking about 10 p.m. and onward that would develop and move east. But, all right, will our atmosphere have a chance to recover after this moves out and this moves in again? I think that these two waves of rain could really help us out. I'm not lowering the chance for a severe threat at all. I'm saying that absolutely that is going to lower it. And once that moves through here, you're already talking about 4 o'clock and you get sunset again after 8. So you're only going to have maybe in some spots an hour of a little bit of sun to kind of recharge the atmosphere. For these first couple of waves could help us for the nighttime storms to be weaker. We'll still keep an eye on it. That definitely is a possibility for later on this evening. These are the strongest storms that we obviously have, though, still at the moment. And once this goes back, once these move out of our viewing area, we'll go back to programming, okay? We could even right now, Lanny, the game, it's not started yet? Oh, it's not on just yet. Okay, so we will stay with this here. I'm going to go back into live mode. This whole part, even though they're still issuing warnings on it, I have not seen any damage reports along this in quite some time. I mean, that's great. I mean, we don't want to see that, but sometimes that lags behind. A report earlier in Mason County, this was at 1:55, so less than an hour ago, of winds maximum at 52. So that's not severe. Look at this. In Harrison County a short time ago, pictures of trees down in the city of Cynthiana. That was at 1:25. That was because of this squall line of storms that worked east. We also had reports earlier of the numerous trees that were down in Anderson County. Motorists stuck in a vehicle on Aaron Barnett Road, pinned in by fallen trees and cannot drive either direction. That was at 12:40. But this was a delayed report because when I looked earlier in Anderson County, there was only the one report of trees down that was closer to the Lawrenceburg area. This is the one that was in earlier. So that was a much delayed report that came in. All right, so this is what we've got going on. Second wave of storms coming in. Back into our western communities right now. These are not severe, but let me move this and clear that off for you so you can see. All right, well, let's zoom back in off to the east here. And I want to clear that off. Peyton, can you step over there to links 1? And I'm going to step out of the way and clear off both of those blue boxes. Sometimes the storm report boxes do not want to clear off. I think you have to right click on that, right or left click on that box. There you go. All right. Thank you for doing that. Only warnings that we have left right now are severe thunderstorm warnings, but they've been tagged with, some of these have been tagged with considerable damage, or at least considerable severe thunderstorm warning, meaning that winds could gust up to 70+ miles per hour. And with a fatality back in Louisville, again, that's outside of our viewing area, but with a fatality from just straight line winds because a tree fell down, that's why we're telling everybody to stay hunkered down indoors until the storms pass on by, okay? It's moving into Carter County now. Here's Grayson, Kentucky. Here's Carter County. Sandy Hook, this is bowing out. There's likely some winds that are between 60, maybe 70 miles per hour on the leading edge of that. West Liberty, yep, you're dealing with obviously heavy rain and some gustier winds, but as I pan closer to Breathitt County, looking back at the winds here, we're getting closer to the radar. You see these brighter shades of green. That's where we could be seeing winds potentially, for sure, getting closer to between about 50 to 60 miles per hour. And that does continue pretty much along this line, all the way down, working our way through Breathitt County, and then it goes from Breathitt County back down into Perry County. Look how this line, I mean, at one point, this line was almost straight north-south. You had some bowing segments, but look how just over time, how we get these big kinks in it, and then that's really going into Perry County. So that's where we could see some of our strongest winds going through Leslie now and into Perry County and even into Harlan County, all right there where it kind of takes on that little bit of a backward shaped C that we see there. That warning for Perry County and also into Letcher and also into Harlan County. Again, even up into Knott County, severe thunderstorm warnings until 3:15. And then you go further up to the north, and then in Breathitt County till 3:15. You get up into Magoffin County, severe thunderstorm warning till 3:15. So is Morgan. That's actually till 3. And then you get up into Elliott County until 3 p.m. Peyton, you seen any damage reports coming in here? Thankfully, I've just not seen any for quite a while, which, I mean, hey, that is fantastic news. But with severe thunderstorm warnings, you want to treat those storms seriously.
Yeah, not seeing any right now across, especially across the south, which is definitely some good news for us. But again, across most of central Kentucky, down across the Lake Cumberland region, we've been talking about the down trees, down power lines, continuing to see power outages also increase, especially, Justin, as you know, when you get in these more rural areas, you tend to have more tree damage and things like that. So as he was mentioning, that is some of the good news is we're not getting a lot of damage reports right now. One thing I was looking at just a little bit earlier, Justin was talking about these two first waves here on radar. I'll show you. We have the one that's now starting to work back into western portions of the viewing area. It's not severe at this point, which is good news. We'll continue to monitor it just in case, but that's some good news there. The only severe line now marching through eastern Kentucky. I was looking at some satellite data and back into far western Kentucky towards Paducah, and then also back into portions of southern Illinois and Arkansas and Missouri. There are, the skies are starting to clear once again, and we're getting a little bit of sunshine. As Justin was talking about, obviously the sunshine helps refuel the atmosphere for the next wave that is possibly going to move through later this evening and into the overnight. On the bright side of things, as Justin was talking about, we're getting towards the evening hours and getting closer to sunset. So by the time that sunshine gets here, we'll see how long it really has to really amp up the atmosphere for round 2. But we've been saying the past several days that we're going to have a first round in the afternoon and then another main line come through with the front later on this evening and into the overnight. So you don't want to let your guard down necessarily just yet. We don't want to diminish the threat for strong to severe storms once again later today. However, this is really, especially the second line now working through portions of our western counties now, really helps diminish, I don't want to completely say diminish, but it really helps lower the threat for some strong to severe storms later. So that is some good news. But again, I want to emphasize, you want to still keep your guard up as that is still a possibility later on. Let's go ahead and show you exactly what's happening from across this line right now in eastern Kentucky. Let's go north to south. First for our northernmost counties here. It's now exiting the Rowan County area. If we could take this full, thank you. And now working into portions of Elliott County County. Nasty storm about to work over the Sandy Hook area. This will eventually work out into Lawrence County. So if you're in Blaine, Martha, back towards Louisa, you want to be on the lookout over the next 30 minutes to an hour or so in portions of Lawrence County. We'll slide a little further south, working over West Liberty right now as we speak. Eventually, we'll cross into Magoffin County, about to cross into Magoffin County right now. Salyers,ville, you're looking at the next, let's say, 20-30 minutes or so. Paintsville out in Johnson County, you still have some time here. Storm working right over the radar site right now as we speak down in Breathitt County in Jackson. Heavy rain working into Hazard, likely some very gusty winds. Still got a few minutes if you're out in Hindman. Also out towards Wheelwright. If you're in Knott County, still got a few minutes, but that leading edge getting really close to the county line there. We'll continue further south, and we're about to exit the viewing area in our far southeastern communities. Leslie over into Perry, and then eventually working into parts of Harlan County and let's see, Letcher County as well. Working through Bell County, we've been talking about that. But good news is, again, it's a lot of this is about to exit the viewing area, Justin. So we've been staying with this the whole time over the past couple of hours here, and it's just very impressive. I was talking about earlier, I don't think I've seen this many warnings statewide like this for quite some time, which is what we're seeing here. So we'll continue to watch this. Again, it's stretching all the way from the Ohio River in northeastern Kentucky all the way down to the Tennessee and Virginia lines here, now working into getting closer to portions of West Virginia as well. Let's go ahead and flip over radar really quick just to show you what's happening out to our west. Likely seeing some showers and storms once again in our westernmost communities. This is Mercer County down towards Boyle County as well, down into Casey County. None of this is severe at this point because the main line of storms earlier has already worked over this environment, but notice where it didn't, down just north of Nashville and down into portions of Tennessee. That's where those storms are still severe. Now, I do have a concern because we're still seeing some very heavy rain with this back towards Campbellsville and along Cumberland Parkway. I do have some concern, especially out in portions of the Lake Cumberland region where we're continuing to see these rounds of rain. They've seen several inches of rain across our southern counties this week. So when we keep seeing this, there is some threat for some localized flooding, especially with the very saturated ground. We get a little bit of a break. Again, I mentioned there was some clearing taking place back in portions of western Kentucky, back into Missouri as well, and southern Illinois. So we're going to watch that, see if it gives the atmosphere some time to recharge as it works in our direction. Because, Justin, we've been saying the past several days that this is going to come in waves throughout the day, and you can't let your guard down just yet, even though this first initial line of storms does help diminish that severe threat later this evening and overnight. It doesn't completely do away with it, so you don't want to let your guard down just yet.
Right, absolutely. I have a video, and I want to effort here, Lanny. If you can pull up Apple TV, I'm connected again. I have a crazy Ring camera video. This is from Denise Hensley Smith in London, Kentucky, off of 363 in Sunshine Hills. Check this out. Just watch. I'll start the loop over and just watch the intense winds. You can already see that she's already lost a tree in the front of her front yard there. And the intensity of the winds just picks up, blows the obviously chair off the front porch. That was the strength of the leading edge of these storms as they were rolling through. And just look how strong the winds continue just to race as that video loops over. That was from Denise. This was from Lexington, Kentucky, Ryan Hermans. This was from earlier as the shelf cloud was moving into Lexington. The shelf cloud leading edge of the stronger winds. Just ahead of those, you're going to get this lowering, this leading edge of the storms. We call it a shelf cloud that forms because of the cooler air that rushes outside of the thunderstorm. What it does, pushes out that outflow. It lifts up the warmer air that's out ahead of it, and it eventually leads to that cloud that you see. All right, a quick look at radar here because I want to go through the warnings that we still have for you. Some of the storms here still intense going through Sandy Hook right now, and this is going to be crossing over out of our viewing area soon. This part of the storm will go over into Lawrence County. Here's Blaine, and right behind me is Louisa, but still this Boeing segment right here, that means that we could see some stronger winds on the leading edge, even up into Carter County. We go to the south, and this is starting to, it looks like it's weakening, but the reason I say looks like is because the radar, the heavy rain and storms are going right over top of the radar. So that is probably at least in working against the radar from being able to see the true strength of some of these storms out there, because it's like blinding it in another sense. So the stronger the winds and the heavy rain right on top of the radar, it has to punch through that storm to see these that are up to the north. So it may look like it's weaker there, but these are still intense. You get down into Hazard, and definitely still some strong winds on the leading edge of that. Severe thunderstorm warnings for Knott County. That goes for Knott until 3:30. It goes for Floyd County until 3:30. Letcher County at 3:15. Harlan County is also till 3:30. Back up into Morgan County, 3:15. Magoffin County until 3:15. So a number of severe thunderstorm warnings all across this line. Once it gets east of Johnson County, it is actually outside of our viewing area. This is the main show right now. Lexington, back up into Paris, up into Winchester. We're in between waves here, okay? We don't have any storms yet, but guess what? That second round, it is not severe, but it definitely still is impactful to any outdoor activities, all right? So look, just rain moving through Lawrence, moving through Lawrenceburg, moving through Anderson and Woodford, and back down into Mercer and Boyle County, Scott County, Fayette County, just dealing with rain. So is Franklin, even over into western Harrison, northwestern parts of Bourbon, some light rain. But again, that's not severe, but we're looking at it because I know a lot of you are trying to resume your outdoor activities, and you're like, well, here comes that second wave, and it's moving into Casey County up from Liberty Points north. Now that's a strong storm. It's not severe, but definitely a lot of lightning along that, and that goes back into Adair County in Columbia. You don't want to be outside, obviously. When thunder roars, go indoors, because that lightning is going to be looking for that tallest object that's out there, and we already had one fatality, sadly, in Louisville from some straight line winds that blew down a tree, and it fell over a man there into the east side of Louisville. Now, back to where we actually have severe thunderstorm warnings, because I just wanted to give you a recap of what else was happening. Back to our west, that second wave, but it's not severe. This is where we do have at least the potential for some damaging storms, all right? It's on top of Harlan with some heavy rain, frequent flashes of lightning. You work your way into western parts of Letcher County. Here's Whitesburg. This is where we could be looking at that next little wave moving in to western parts of, again, Letcher, western parts of Knott County. Definitely going to be impacted with heavy rain and winds very soon. It is doing that right as we speak in Hazard and just about all of Perry County. Breathitt County impacted by some straight line winds, possibly upwards of 60 miles per hour. And then Salyersville is too. Let me look all along this line one more time. I want to look at our shear rate, but we'll get to the Barron button first. You see how here where the radar is like, okay, it looks inside the storm and it says, what are the greatest severe threats that it sees? Obviously heavy rain, still some gusty winds. It's not flagging that. Sometimes it takes winds before it gets up over 60 before it finds that. But where it is, or what it is finding, is at least that there could be some small hail anywhere along this line too. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. I can go into our 3D radar again, and we'll reposition this box or redraw this and kind of look at this storm three-dimensionally here. I'm going to have to draw a new box and try to move that off to the east. This next wave of storms is going to be coming in. So let's move this box here further off into eastern Kentucky, and now we can look at this storm three-dimensionally to see how at least tall that they are developing. All right, so you can see where we have some of the purple coming through West Liberty right now. You see that right there. What we're looking for is hail cores, all right, that are building up. Let me tilt this 3D. You see that? How the storm is building up. But where you have the purple there, just on the west side of West Liberty, that we could be seeing some hail that's right there. And our hail indicator on the Jackson radar definitely is showing the 1 hour hail. If I go back, so you can see right in and around West Liberty, we are looking at that threat. And just into the west and north side of town, and also down to the south side of Morgan County. I can click on this, and this is going to give us at least some estimates here. may not on this feature actually do that. Let me put our storm tracks, because we have the potential here maybe getting close. So an inch in diameter is the size of quarters, or roughly about that. When you get about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, you're less than a quarter. You're probably likely getting closer to maybe some nickel-size hail. To Stacy, Fork, White Oak, Cisco, Bloomington, Harper communities. That's in portions of Morgan County and northern parts of Magoffin County. You know where they are because you live in those areas. You know these smaller communities. Sometimes they are just bends in the road, but you know where it's at. That area dealing with the potential for some hail. Peyton, do you see anything at least from the Weather Service perspective? I've not had any new at least damage reports, which, I mean, we're happy to see that, and I think some of that is just because we're still waiting, maybe a little bit delayed after the storms moving out. I see you have the power outages update, which is obviously important today too.
Yeah, so we are continuing to see power out as well across a lot of the area. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of new damage reports in the Weather Service chat, which is some good news for us. But there's still a lot of trees down, power lines down, things like that. And as the storms continue to work through eastern Kentucky right now, obviously if the storm's on top of you, we're not going to get some of those reports as we speak. Let's take a closer look at some of these power outages. We're around 2,000 without power here in Fayette County, 1,500 out in Woodford County, same story over in Mercer County. Down into Lincoln County, 1,500. Look at Pulaski County. Pulaski County is one of our harder hit counties, it seems, with 7,000 customers without power down there. You got 1,000 customers in the Wayne County area. 3,000 customers over into McCreary County, 2,000 customers without power in Laurel County, and look back off towards Louisville, 40,000 customers without power. And you got to think, this is households, businesses. These are customers, not necessarily people. So a lot more people are impacted by this. Looks like about 2,000 customers out in Menifee County now without power. That's where Justin earlier was talking about that little couplet with some rotation there and some very strong winds in that area. You can see the warnings continuing to flash across eastern Kentucky as we speak, and pretty much the power outage map lights up as the storms pass through. You can see that it's right on the edge of the line of storms right now, and pretty much as it continues to work, we see more and more counties light up with multiple power outages. So we're getting a lot of reports of trees down, power lines down, and the whole 9 yards there. So we're going to continue to watch that. Not a lot of significant damage reports that we're seeing right now out of eastern Kentucky. So we'll see if we get any of that new data in over the next little bit. Let's show you what's happening on radar. We continue this entire line of storms stretching from northeastern Kentucky all the way to southeastern Kentucky is still under some sort of severe thunderstorm warning. We're talking about winds of upwards of 60, some cases maybe even 70 miles per hour. So very strong winds now working into our far eastern Kentucky counties right now as we speak. So let's start in Elliott County here, one of the last counties on the fringe before it works out into Lawrence County. Sandy Hook and eastern portions of Elliott County dealing with very heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning, damaging winds as well. This is now about to cross into Lawrence County. If you're out in the Blaine area or maybe up in the Martha area, Yatesville Lake is out and State Park is out in Lawrence County. This is working in your direction over the next 15 to 30 minutes or so, just depending on what part of the county you're in. Lawrence County, obviously a fairly large county. Louisa's right on the river here, right bordering with West Virginia. So it'll take it a little bit of time to get to Louisa. But again, if you're out in some of the more rural areas, Yatesville Lake area, this is coming in your direction. We side a little further to the south, working towards from Morgan and Magoffin County, now working over right on the county line, working into Johnson County. Got another lake, Paintsville Lake State Park is out in that area as well. If you're out there or you're camping, you want to get to a secure building, move indoors. Paintsville, this is on your doorstep in the next 30 minutes or so. We'll slide a little further to the south. Again, Salyersville, this is working into Magoffin County right now. Crossing from Breathitt into Magoffin County in the next few minutes in southern parts of the county, and then over into Floyd County, Prestonsburg. You got about 30-40 minutes or so as this works in your direction. A little further to the south, Hazard, dealing with heavy rain right now, but the worst of the winds have likely moved through Hazard already and are now right on the doorstep of Hindman. If you're down in portions of Knott County, this is working towards you. We go down to Cumberland as well, in portions of Harlan, Letcher County, getting out of our viewing area, now working into far southeastern Kentucky. Kentucky. Very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and about to cross over into Virginia. So moral of the story, we're continuing to see this heavy rain, damaging wind threat, and the threat for some small hail as well continue to march eastward. Let's go back towards our western counties in central Kentucky now. Show you this next line of showers and storms. It is not severe right now, but still a threat as a lot of people have plans and things outdoors for the holiday weekend. Heavy rain over portions of Jessamine, southern Fayette County, Brandon Crossing down into downtown Nicholasville area. Heavy rain right now. Steady showers and thunderstorm activity. Danville back towards Liberty in Casey County. Once again down towards the lake, Lake Cumberland, Russell Springs, working eventually in again to Pulaski County and eventually Wayne County once again. Again, this line is not severe right now. Still has a threat with lightning though, some gusty winds, but not of severe capabilities at this point, and it's continuing to work off to the east as well. We were talking about, we have these two waves right now kind of moving through, then we get a little bit of a break, and then we have another wave that's going to move in late this evening into the overnight that we'll be watching very carefully. So once this works through, we'll have to see how the atmosphere recovers. However, you don't want to let your guard down completely. This does not mean it's all over. We still have to wait for the front to pass through overnight tonight, which is obviously that has the risk to bring some more strong storms once again. So don't let your guard down just yet, especially if this line of storms has passed through your area. Right now, though, just some light to moderate rain portions of Mercer down into western Boyle County and some steadier showers along Bluegrass Parkway here, Justin. So really, this is the severe storms now are getting very close to exiting our viewing area, which is some good news. We get a little bit of a breather for now.
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to go back to programming here very, very soon as these storms are racing out. I want to go through some pictures that our meteorologist, Chris Johnson, has received on his Facebook, a number of damage reports videos, and I've got it again. Laney back in the back. I'm going to go through our Facebook here. It should be still screen mirroring. Let me know if. All right, let me go back to this. Is from Cass Hendricks in Woodbine, Kentucky. You can see that tree there, obviously down looks like over a roadway, but it just continues. Look here in Powell County. This is a massive tree. Look how it's uprooted here. That's on the left side right there of your screen. That tree was entirely uprooted. Massive, likely oak tree that's been planted for many years. That's from Regina Townsend Sons. This is in Slate Branch, Pulaski County. I'm starting to see more and more pictures and reports coming out of this area. This again, we showed you on our home view camera earlier coming through Pulaski County. This is one of the spots that looks to be harder hit. This is another big uprooted tree that's over a fence. But if I keep going, you're going to see multiple reports. This is also from Laurel County, from Madison Payne. Look, another large tree that is blocking this roadway here out in front of her home. A number of pictures as we just go through. Look at the Corbin area. The Corbin Arena sign, Lauren Weaver says she watched it get hit by lightning. Look at the Corbin Arena sign, just on the right side of that. All right, it is just barely kind of hanging on there. So this is why we were on, and why we've been on, is because there have been very damaging storms coming through. This picture is from Ferry Hill, Slate Branch again. Once again, Amy Decker East. Look at this, Slate Branch, another large tree uprooted. So a number of trees across the state have been uprooted, which have led to a number of power outages. Let's come back to Links 1 here. The leading edge of this, I'm going to clear some of this off for you. We appreciate all of you that have sent in those pictures to Chris over on Facebook. He's been live. He's been streaming over on his Facebook page too, helping us out on the social side of things. Listen, we try to keep you updated as many ways as possible with the number of, again, ways that we can right here on Fox 56 News, on the Fox 56 weather app. You can scan this QR code here. We've been live streaming on our social media pages too from our coverage all afternoon long here. All right, so a quick update. Peyton was just going over these, but really, as soon as this crosses out one more county over, we're back to programming here, okay? Because this is out of our viewing area, and right now we're on the edge of it. We're getting over to Carr Creek right now, Lit Car right now, Red Fox 306 for this part of the line of storms that's coming out of, this is not county, this is Letcher County. So it's part of the storm, intense winds that could be upwards of 60 miles per hour. All right, so the whole line here still not only has heavy rain, and the lightning has started to decrease a bit. Lightning is often an indicator of the strength of the storm too, all right? That time we look for the number of strikes of lightning, especially if they're concentrated in a certain area here for intensity. But that storm is still strong in Hindman. It's coming in right now there, and it definitely is producing at least winds that are 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. And all of these storms will continue to work their way off to the east over time. Let me turn off the warnings here so I can get this storm track to turn off. This line of the storms is approaching Whitesburg. It's on Hindman. It's up into Salyersville. Let me go back to the northern portion of this line that's crossing out of eastern Morgan County and now over into northern Johnson. Estimated times that the strongest winds will be Martha at 313, Davisville 319, Blaine 319, Chandlersville at 321. I'm seeing at least the potential maybe for hail 3/4 of an inch diameter, so some nickel-size hail. All right, maybe up to the size of nickels. So that's not severe hail, but definitely a possibility for some hail nonetheless. All day so far, the biggest threat obviously has been for straight line winds, and we've seen some trees that have been blown down. This portion of the line of storms up here going into Carter County, I know we do have still some viewers there. I think we're actually still on some cable companies up here. We've had some viewers that have let us know about that. Looking Leon right now, so Beech Grove of 311, Reedville 312, Mount Savage 313, Straight Creek at 314. That's for this portion of the storm that is still fairly intense. All these are rolling eastbound across eastern Kentucky. This line of storms, it's stronger, but it is not to the degree that we have any severe weather along it. I've got our lightning turned back on. I have our warnings turned back on here. You'll notice all those blinking out ahead of the first squall line that we have coming across the state. A quick reset. We can actually show you how much rain has actually fallen in our coverage area. Let me go, this is within the last 48 hours here. You'll notice the totals back in western Kentucky even higher than what we've seen. I've seen some big time flooding reports back over into parts of Grayson County, back over near Bowling Green, even in our viewing area. You get back down into parts of Pulaski County, 2.3 inches. You get in the parts of Laurel County, 2 inches. So some spots, a little bit of rain, some spots, a lot of rain. And most of our rain in our viewing area has been concentrated Lake Cumberland, along the Cumberland Parkway, Hal Rogers Parkway, either north or south of that. We've had pockets of heavier rain in our viewing area and other spots, but those are really the main areas that have seen the most. All right, let me clear this off, all this off. What I've got on right now is the severe weather outlook for today, and obviously they still have us outlined in that level 3 risk. I have a lot of data turned on. Let me turn it all off for you. I've got the storm tracks and everything. Why now? Because they still have a large area in a level 3 risk, all right? That includes Tennessee, all of Kentucky, except for extreme eastern parts of the state. It's been a level 2. This is still not taking into account what's already happened, but what could come with a line of storms that is expected to develop later on today. If we look at the radar here, look here, this is the first signs of this next likely squall line starting to form back in Missouri. Satellite picture does an even better job showing that, but we don't have our visible satellite turned on here. But what this is it's forming along an outflow boundary right in this zone, and you could see it more clearly on visible satellite. This is where storms are going to fire. Sun's out here, so it's more unstable out here, but what fires up here will move toward Kentucky by later on tonight. So we still have, again, the potential for some more storms that come into play as we head into tonight. This is what we obviously have right now, and our future radar product is going to take our current storms, let's advance it. This is at 309 right now, and they're out of our easternmost counties within the next 30 minutes to an hour at most. An hour at most, okay, it's out. Then that next little line that is currently not severe is moving in behind it. So once this first line moves out, we're definitely likely back to programming, because even those storms in far eastern Kentucky, even though they still have several warnings on those, I have definitely been seeing at least some weakening, which is good. We want to see that, but they are still fairly intense, especially the part going over Carter County, Peyton, and even the one that's been east of West Liberty that's crossing now over into northern Johnson County.
Yeah, that's right, Justin. And you were talking about that line of storms that's going to fire up once again later across the heartland of the country tonight, working in portions. I want to show you the satellite and radar right now. And notice we're seeing some clearing back into western Kentucky, portions of Missouri, southern Illinois. So if we get some sunshine once again later this afternoon, this really gives our atmosphere a chance to recharge. Now, how much can it recharge before the sun goes down? That's the big question mark. But along this front, back in portions of Kansas and over into portions of Missouri, you can see those storms starting to fire up slightly along this front. And that's the next wave that moves through later on this evening and into the overnight tonight as the front inches closer. So we'll be watching that very closely throughout the day, but likely going to get a little break in the action once these first couple of waves that you can see on radar right now make their way through. And we likely even could see some peaks at the sun again later on, especially this evening. Let's go ahead and reset here, or rather take a look at some of those power outages we've been talking about. Here in Fayette County, still around 2,500 customers without power, 2,000 out there in Clark County, 1,500 in Madison, 7,000 customers without power now down in Pulaski County, one of the harder hit areas in our viewing area, 1,000 customers in Wayne County, 2,500 down there in McCreary County, and looks like now we even have around 2,000 customers without power in London and Laurel County as well. As this continues to march east, notice we're starting to add to the power outages. Perry County, Leslie County, back over into Breathitt County as well. So Justin, this continues to march to the east, and we're almost done for the next little bit. But again, you don't want to let your guard down just yet, as we are mentioning. Still watching that line of storms that is just now starting to get going back off to the west. That still has to work in our direction tonight.
Yeah, and you'll be watching those all evening long, obviously with an update on our newscast later on tonight at 10. That may be delayed, obviously, because NASCAR races we're going to be having a little bit later on this afternoon that's starting. I'm going to give you a quick little recap here, and then we're going to send it back to programming, all right? Because these storms right on the edge of our viewing area, but they're also, even though they're still intense, a lot of lightning, still potential for some damaging winds, they are exiting our coverage area. Let me stop the loop here and show you what's happening. One quick little glance over everything, and then we'll go back to programming. Yes, still I know a lot of cookouts and outdoor plans have been moved indoors because of storms. I'll go down this portion of the line, and none of this is severe here. And look, we even have lightning turned on. There is no lightning. That just goes to show you how much the atmosphere has been worked over in central Kentucky. I mean, not one single flash of lightning in the last 10 minutes in Bourbon, in Fayette, in Scott, in Harrison counties. This is just run-of-the-mill rain. Now, where the part of the line gets a little stronger, down in parts of Gary County, but for sure from Lincoln County, Casey County, back into western parts of Pulaski, it does start intensifying once again back down at Lake Cumberland. Sad to say it, I know. A lot of people were like, oh, we got a little window of opportunity to go back out on the lake. Here was that second wave on Jamestown now, right in Russell Springs, coming across the lake. Cumberland River, too. You're indoors. Stay there until this passes. Not severe, but still could have some gusts, 40 miles an hour. And again, you don't want to be out on a boat, out on the water with lightning and winds at 40 miles an hour gusting. It's going to create obviously some waves on the lake. Definitely not a safe place to be. To the east, though, we go, again, Harlan County, Bell County, you're cleared out of this mess. We go further off to the east in Letcher County. I'm going to do a little track on the front edge. All this is kind of moving out. We'll do one little last track on the front edge of a lot of this. This is moving off to the east at east-northeast, still at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. That's moving fast, all right? So small communities, Whitaker 314, Flat Gap at 315, and Fleming. Again, that's in Powell County here, not up in Fleming County. Fleming community, you're getting over into western parts of Pike County rather at 3:15. We'll clear that off, and then we'll go a little further off to the north here. We still have the other extent of the line that's going up into Floyd County. It's coming on your doorstep, but it's been definitely going through McGoffin County right now. Seeing this part of the line still rather intense, but not as intense as it was a short time ago. We'll do a track for you again, moving off to the east, close to 50 miles an hour. That's going to be putting it into Chandlersville. It's on top of you. Riceville at 3:16. So within 1 hour's time or less, this is totally out of the state of Kentucky. And the last stop takes us into the northern flank of this. It's already out of our viewing area, but I know we do have some people over in Lawrence County that are watching us. It's still west of Louisa. Future radar over the next hour here, if I can get that to click over to our future radar, that will advance this 1 hour out, all right? So at 4:15, it's in West Virginia for sure. Louisa at about 3:40. 3:30, 3:45-ish, so not much longer, and it is fully out of here. I'll stop the loop, and the current radar obviously showing still some intense storms though, Peyton, but this will be something that we definitely watch throughout the evening, all right? We'll watch these too because these are starting to uptick in intensity down in Lake Cumberland. But I think we're gonna go back to programming out. We have I have a game that's on, football game that's on right now. Is that, what football game is that? Do you know?
I believe it's a XFL game. So
XFL game.
I think it's Houston, someone else. I'm not 100% sure. But we'll go ahead and go back to that. Thanks for tuning in and joining us. Obviously, if we need to cut back in, we'll do so. Keep your guard up. Have a way to receive weather alerts. Great way to do that. Download the Fox 56 Weather Authority app.
Have a great day.
Radlick Williams holding on for a chain moving